Hello and welcome back, my far-quadding Juzzle Sticks. How you doing today? We're playing some half-cash mode on a fairly easy map. Yeah, just some Cubism action here, man. So basically, what I'm going to do today is I'm actually going to just show you guys the strategy real quick. We're going to do a pretty wild strategy. We're going to be farming a lot today. Because what we want to do is we want to show off not only a 5th tier tower in half-cash mode. Yeah, we're going to show off the best 5th tier tower in half-cash mode. Alright, now you're probably going to want to jump to the end of the game and see what it is, but you're going to miss out on so much fun stuff throughout the process here that I highly recommend that you don't do that, alright? Stick with me here, guys. Stick with me and watch the action unfold. So we're going to do an Oben play here, which Oben is a fantastic hero, by the way. If you have not seen any Oben plays lately, he is delish. What he does is he gives your magic towers extra power. They recently buffed Oben to have more damage, more pierce, and he still has the extra buffs that he gives your other towers over here, which is just unbelievable for some of these magic towers, man. Plus, eventually, he gets to the point where he gives extra range not only to your magic towers, but to every tower in his range, and that can multiply with monkey villages over here, so just absolutely delish, man. Very, very intriguing, to say the least, and I just find it cool. I found him cool to use. In fact, he's actually one of my favorite heroes lately to use in some of the harder maps as well. But I digress. Let's get back. Let's jump back in, man, and talk about the main juice of the story today. We're talking about viruses. Ho, ho, ho. So, yeah, just to reiterate real quick from some of my previous videos, I do have my degree in biology. I have my bachelor's degree. I don't have my master's or my doctorate or anything. I have a bachelor's. I just find it interesting. I don't feel like I'm super knowledgeable on the subject, but I'm more knowledgeable than the average person for sure. And I find viruses extra specially cool because I don't know why I find them so cool, but I find them more interesting almost than bacteria themselves. All right. So all I'm going to really do is I don't have a script or anything. I'm not going to, try and teach you guys something super duper crazy or anything. I'm just going to jump around, just sort of talk about viruses. That's it. That's my main goal. Just talk about it. And if you guys are going to enjoy the thought process throughout the time here, fantastic. That's all I really care about. Hopefully I don't say anything wrong or stupid throughout the video. Like I said, while I am knowledgeable, I still make mistakes. I'm still a normal guy. Feel free to correct me, though, if I make anything, say anything wrong, though. But anyways, viruses are really freaking cool, dude. I think the main thing that we should talk about is, first of all, are viruses living or non-living? I feel like when I was younger, I used to always think the teachers are wrong. Viruses are not non-living. They are living. Why would a virus, like a virus, specifically go out and attack certain animals or attack humans or attack whatever? Why would God attack these things and not be alive? It just doesn't make any sense. That was my thought process back in the day. But now that I'm a little bit older and a little bit more knowledgeable, what I can tell you is that is sort of flawed because... Hold on, let me get some water here, guys. Because the DNA or the RNA that is controlling the virus is really doing everything, all right? And in fact, it's not even necessarily controlling the virus. Viruses are just so plentiful that they'll randomly have things just happen. Alright, I know it sounds stupid, but there'll just be billions upon trillions upon quadrillions of them just everywhere. And somehow, magically, some will find the spot that they need to be in. And then when they reproduce, well, guess what? They're not just going to make one or maybe two of themselves. They'll just make millions or billions or even more maybe. I don't know. They'll make crazy amounts of them. Alright? And that's why viruses are so ridiculous, and why they can infect or hurt you so gosh darn quickly. So anyways, are viruses living things? I would say no. I would say not at all. And what you can think about is, think about a bacteria, alright? A bacteria we consider is a living thing. What it does is, it may even seem stupid, it doesn't really have thoughts necessarily. It's just controlled by its DNA for the most part. Its DNA says, oh, hey, there's this thing inside of our cytoplasm that we don't like. Well, let's get rid of it. So one of the organelles will be like, hey, this crap's in here. Get rid of it, man. Send it out of there. It'll say, oh, crap, there's some antibiotics in here. Let's try and squirt this out of our cytoplasm. We just squirt. So it does active stuff to try and protect itself, try and get rid of things. If it's like near if it finds salt, and it's like, I don't like salt, man. It'll like go somewhere that doesn't have salt. You know, it'll actively do things based on the environment around it. So a bacteria, even though it doesn't like necessarily have thoughts itself, it does move around and do things and change what it can do to the best of its ability. Where a virus, on the other hand, if you like put it in a salt solution and you're like, oh, does it like salt or not? It won't do anything. It won't try and escape. It won't try and get away from the salt. It won't do anything. It'll just sit there and either die of whatever because it gets killed by salt or whatever. It doesn't think. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't try to protect itself. It just is. All it is just some DNA or some RNA with a protein code or with a thing around it just to protect it.
All right.
But because they are so plentiful and random and everywhere all the time, this is where it seems like they're like attacking you or like trying to get in and hurt you and like outsmarting our immune system and stuff. They're really not doing any of that. It just so happens that so many of them exist and they have such weird mechanisms of attack, basically, that makes them so complicated and weird and have crazy things happen. But which I can probably talk about a little bit more about that later on, about like sort of their mechanisms of attack or something like that. But really what you got to think about is just the fact that they're literally just some RNA which codes for something, alright? And once it gets inside of a cell, it'll just kind of release that genetic information. Those random pieces will just go out and do their own thing in the cell. And hopefully, if the virus does what it's supposed to do, it'll take over the cell and just make it spew out a bunch of those same viral proteins, right? And those viral proteins will get packaged up by the cell and just be released as more viruses. That's basically how they multiply. And like I was saying, that's why you can go from 1 to a billion in no time. Where a bacteria, as I was saying in my other video, it can take, you know, as slow as 20 minutes to make a bacteria, or multiply from 1 to 2 and 2 to 4. It can be as slow as about as fast as about 20 minutes. It can be really, really slow too. It can take days, even weeks, for it to multiply, depending on what's going on. Maybe never. Some bacteria just don't. If they're not in the right conditions, they just won't multiply at all. They won't try. They'll just be like, I'm not happy. I don't have enough resources. So they'll just do their own thing. They'll just survive. That's one weird thing about bacteria. They just survive. Based on the environment, based on what's going on around them. So, anyways, if you haven't seen by now, what we did was we got Open Up. We've got a couple farms going on. We've got our banana farmer over here and everything. We went for a couple third-tier ninjas and a glue gunner, actually. And the reason why we did all this is because the ninjas were going to be good for Moab popping power, and they are shooting pretty fast over here. The dart monkey's just sort of chilling at this point, and the glue gunner deals with a lot of extra balloons here. What he is, though, he's going to be a 2-0 for a while. That's just random corrosive glue here. Didn't do anything special. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go for a glue splatter. We're going to be splattering these balloons. All the balloons should get glued, hopefully. Because you can tell with the third-tier ninja, like, balloons are still a little bit of an issue. We don't have fourth tiers or anything. We really can't rock these guns that easily. Not yet. But, yeah, I guess my main question here was, are viruses living things? And I gotta say, I don't think so. I would not be, like I said, I would not be upset if you said that, oh, viruses are definitely a living thing. If you really think that, like, okay, that's fine. But that would definitely not be my opinion. I would say they are wholeheartedly not a living thing. They don't do anything to try and stay alive. They just sit there and will die, or that's the weird word about it. Like, would die or just become unviable. Not be able to infect other things. The DNA could, or the RNA could unfold or be destroyed in some way. Just totally possible. But anyways, I was telling you guys about the mechanisms of attack. So sometimes when viruses attack, all they are is, again, they're just a little piece of RNA, piece of something with a protein coat, and sometimes what they do is they just land on like a cell, and the cell will, will have, let's talk about how like a human throat cell or something. I don't know. Human throat cell will have a bunch of different ways that it can communicate with other cells. Around it, all around it. It can be immune cells or other cells or whatever, and those cells will attach to the other cells and talk through a certain little thingamabob on the cytoplasm on the end there. They'll just like talk to each other through that little thingamabob, like send information through them, blah 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 blah. Well, the viruses will just be like, you know what? I found out kind of how these cells talk to each other. I'm just gonna hijack that. And instead of them sharing, resources with each other, sending, things between each other, well, we're just going to say, you know what, instead of just sharing resources with each other, we're just going to have him slurp up the virus. Once the virus is inside, like I said, all it does is sort of unfolds and lets all of its genetic information out, and that will hopefully take over the cell. The interesting thing is that for the flu virus, all right, the flu virus has, if I remember correctly, 8 pieces of RNA inside of it. And it has like an H and an N. I forget how to pronounce them. Neuraminidase and something else. Heis, whatever. There's an H and an N though, and those are 2 ways that they can like get inside of your cells and sort of start to infect you. And there's a bunch of different kinds. And they work in sort of slightly different ways over here, which is kind of intriguing. But what can happen, though, is you can have multiple different types of flu have different types of H's and different types of N's. And if these 2 random viruses ever decided to get into one cell, so the way the one virus would work was he would get inside of a cell and he would make a bajillion little pieces of his RNA. Alright, the RNA would get randomly packaged though, not like specifically packaged into a little RNA capsule and sent out. It wouldn't be like, okay, those exact same 8 pieces that went in there, we're going to send out another virus with those exact same 8 pieces. Instead, it'll be sort of random. They'll be like, oh, just throw some crap in there and hope that this virus works. Spurt it out. If it does, if it is viable, wonderful. If it's not viable, who cares? We're making trillions, man. We're making billions over here. It doesn't matter. This interesting thing, though, is if you have 2 different flu viruses, which are sort of similar, but they have different H's and different N's. What they can do is they can make it inside of the same cell, and they can sort of be spewing out these random different viral pieces, and then when they're randomly encased back into each other, guess what? They could be different variations of H's and N's. Not just one type now, and not just 2 types. Now you can have 4 different types, alright? Because you can mix both of those H's and those N's together into different combinations. I'm doing hand signals now, which somehow makes sense in my head, but I don't know if it makes sense to you guys. But it's interesting that these viruses can just do like weird things like that. I don't even remember the actual name for that, but it does happen. It is kind of crazy. So we're actually getting ready here, by the way. We're getting ready. We've got 5 third-tier banana farms at this point. We just got a couple extra ninjas over here. We're upgrading our glue gunner a little bit. Oben's just rocking these guys. We popped in an extra 4th-tier alchemist to help power up all of our random towers over here. And again, like I said, dominating these guys. We're slowing down the balloons with our glue gunner and with Oben's extra totems. And then we've got our ninjas over here just sort of demolishing everything. That's basically what's going on right now. Ninjas are demolishing everything. In fact, the 1 4th-tier ninja is demolishing mostly everything by himself. His popping power is pretty extreme. Alright, I don't know what else to say about viruses. They're pretty cool. They're non-living, if you ask me. And yeah. That's about it. I don't have as much to say about viruses as I do about bacteria over here. But I'm sorry, I got a little into them for a little while. But that's why there's and then I guess this is sort of an interesting tidbit of information. Some viruses will work, and they all work in different ways. They have different modes of transmission, different ways that they might do things. For example, the HIV virus. the virus that causes AIDS, right? The way this guy will work is when it gets inside of your cells, it won't just, okay, take over the cell machinery and start, making more of itself. Instead, it's made of DNA. Alright, so most viruses aren't DNA. Most viruses are RNA, which is basically a half of a slice of DNA, right? But because it's made of DNA, it can incorporate its own genome into our cells. Alright, so literally the HIV virus will just be like the magical thing sliding itself into our own cell's DNA and just sit there. It can sometimes do nothing for a long time. It might just sit there and do nothing. But eventually, it could kind of turn on and be like, alright, it's time to go, baby. And that's when, boom, you're not just like HIV positive, but over time, it starts to, because it starts to become active, it can start to cause the problems with your immune system, which can cause you to have AIDS. But that was just kind of interesting. Anyways, here it is, baby. Are you ready for it, man? The biggest, baddest boy in town is freaking 5th tier glue gunner right here. Alright, I know you're amazed right now. You're like, holy crap, Chris. I didn't think this was possible to be this powerful over here. To have this magical being exist on the screen. Are you freaking kidding me right now, man? I am not kidding you. I am not kidding you. The glue storm. We're to storm these balloons like no other balloon has ever been existing before over here, man. Check this out. This is round 78. There's going to be camo balloons coming out real soon. Get ready for this storm, baby. Oh, get ready for this storm. Glue everywhere. Oh, man. In your eyes, in your fingers, up your butt crack. Who knows where this glue's going to end up today, man. Here we go. Big chunks of balloons coming out. Get ready for it. The camo balloons of round 78. One of the toughest balloons to deal with in the entire game. Kablamo! Let's glue splatter them, baby. Woo! There it is. Splatter! Splatter him so good. Look at his little tentacles flopping around. Oh my god, he's so cool right there. Guess what, glue splatter? It's back in action, baby. Oh my god. Are you freaking kidding me, Chris? This has got to be one of the best strategies you've ever seen. The glue storm. Heck to the yeah, man. So we got him on last for now. He's still gluing everything. Guess what? We can be like, oh, there's a lot of balloons on the screen. Alright, maybe we could just, get something else over here. What do you guys need, like another glue gun or something? Well, I think the main issue is you guys can't see it properly, right? Can you even see the glue storm properly? I don't think you can. So what we're going to do is we're going to say get rid of this guy. We're going to go for the glue storm up in here, alright? Now you get to see him in all of his mighty glory over here. You still got the ability ready to be used over here. And this is like, oh crap, we got a round 80 coming up over here. We got a big oh my god coming in. Well, we better make sure we glue storm the crap out of this guy, right? But we got to make sure he's going to be in the right spot when we glue storm him, next to all of our towers. So we're going to go big, bad, corrosive glue on this guy, and we're going to go, wait for it, our fingers on the clicker, come on, wait for this oh my god layer to puff over here, and then we can go for the glue storm. Guess what, every single balloon in existence, glued to oblivion. No problems here, man. And we take down this oh my god with a glue storm. Holy crap. So you might be thinking that's the end of half cash mode here. But if we wanted to, we could go into free play. We could go into free play. Oh, there it is, man. So I just kind of want to see, is my glue storm going to be effective at all in the late game here? So I kind of want to test it out against a couple rounds here just to see how it was going to go. All right. Quite intriguing that the glue is doing such a great job gluing things, though. I mean, legit. Like, all the balloons are getting glued. Getting slowed down pretty heavily. And honestly, I'm pretty impressed with my towers here. Like, open combination with druids, alchemists, and all these other guys is just delicious. You can glue storm once they get down to lower tier balloons here, and you annihilate them. Again, I think the greatest thing about this is in the late game here when, I mean, you don't really want to use this guy all that much, but the ability comes back very, very quickly. And once the balloons jump out over there, I mean, getting them glued is pretty nice. Not gonna lie. So, I was actually fairly impressed with this guy overall. No, I don't think I'm going to be using him on chimps mode all the time or anything like that, but I don't think he's a terrible tower. I think he's usable at the very least. And I've been going for a top path, a corrosive glue. Maybe just getting all those balloons glued and slowing them down might be better for us. With the bottom path glue, the stronger glue. Because, glue is sort of a weird tower. Most of the time, everybody thinks you need to go for corrosive glue. You want it to do damage. But honestly, I don't really care how much damage my glue does late game. I want my other towers to do the damage. I just want the balloons to be slowed down to allow my towers to do that damage here. But anyways, this is basically it, guys. We're basically stuck in Glue Storm Mania. I just wanted to see how well we were going to do, and we did well overall. If you guys enjoyed the video, though, make sure you press that like button for me. Subscribe if you haven't. Hit the little bell button there. Notify yourself about my videos coming up. If you enjoyed the video, and have a super duper delicious day.